All the organisms under Archaebacteria are heterotrophs, meaning they depend on other organisms for their survival. Eukaryote meaning they have a true nucleus, and unicellular they're made up of single cell. Under that there is chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and protozoans. Kingdom fungi, they are eukaryotes. They can be unicellular or multicellular, and yeast is the only unicellular fungi that is there. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to today's class on revision session for Chapter 2 Biological Classification. I am Dr. Divya, Biology Faculty, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. So in this session, we shall talk about the synopsis of this chapter and then multiple choice questions. So from this chapter, that is Biological Classification, 2-mark questions will be asked. So 2-mark questions or either 3-mark questions will be asked, and these questions, that is especially the 2-mark questions, we will deal with it in session 2. So in this session only we will concentrate on some of the important contents that are there in the topic and the multiple choice questions that can be framed and asked for in the exam. So talking about the classification of organisms. So in this chapter there is 2 kingdom system of classification and 5 kingdom system of classification. 2 kingdom system of classification was given by Carolus Linnaeus. This is also a very important MCQ question that keeps repeating now and then. And 5 kingdom system of classification was given by R.H. Whittaker. So these 2 MCQ usually keeps repeating. Under 2 kingdom system of classification, which was given by Carolus Linnaeus, he classified organisms based on the presence or absence of cell wall. So he classified them as Plantae, that is kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia, wherein Plantae which has a cell wall, whereas those organisms under Animalia which do not have a cell wall, he placed it under the kingdom Animalia. This 2 kingdom system of classification had various drawbacks because be it the plants or say for example in animals again, when we talk about bacteria and all that, they are unicellular, or when we talk about protists also, they are unicellular. So you can't put those unicellular organisms along with the multicellular organisms under kingdom Animalia. So that was one of the major drawbacks in this. So that is when a 5 kingdom system of classification was put by R.H. Whittaker, wherein he classified the organisms as Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia, depending on the similarities in the organisms under each of these groups. Next, talking about kingdom Monera. So kingdom Monera, all the prokaryotes. So what do we mean by prokaryotes? Those organisms which do not have a true nucleus, meaning the nucleus is not bound by a nuclear membrane, or neither of the organelles that they have a covering or a membrane around it. So they are the prokaryotes. Next, all the organisms under kingdom Monera are unicellular in nature, lacking a true nucleus. Now under kingdom Monera, he again classified the organisms as Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. So in Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. So Archaebacteria, all the organisms under Archaebacteria are heterotrophs, meaning they depend on other organisms for their survival. And these Archaebacteria are the organisms which thrive or which live in extreme conditions such as halophiles, that is those which live in high salt conditions are called as halophiles. Thermoacidophiles, those which live in hot springs are called as thermoacidophiles. And methanogens are the ones which live in marshy areas, as well as these are the bacteria which live in the gut of ruminant animals such as cows or buffaloes and all that, wherein they come out of the gut of the animal in the form of dung and they try to create methane out of it, or they make biogas out of it. So that is about methanogens. Next, under Eubacteria, these are the true bacteria. They can be either autotrophs, wherein they are capable of synthesizing their own foods, wherein they can be photosynthetic or chemosynthetic autotrophs, or they can be heterotrophs, wherein they depend on other organisms for their food. So some of the photosynthetic autotroph examples are given here, wherein cyanobacteria. So cyanobacteria, meaning they are also called as the blue-green algae, and they are given the name blue-green algae because of the chlorophyll pigment that is present in them, and because of the presence of the chlorophyll pigment, they are capable of synthesizing their own food through photosynthetic mode. The two important cyanobacteria are nostoc and Anabenna. And under chemosynthetic autotrophs, they are the organisms which prepare their own food by using the chemicals present in their body. Next is heterotrophs. They are mycoplasma. Mycoplasmas are the bacteria which completely lack a cell wall. So there are few bacteria which have a cell wall, but mycoplasma is a bacteria which completely lacks a cell wall. So this is about heterotrophic bacteria. Next, moving further, we'll study about kingdom Protista. So kingdom Protista, all the eukaryotes are placed under kingdom Protista, but they are unicellular in nature again, meaning they have a true nucleus, and unicellular, they're made up of single cell. Under that, there is chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and protozoans. So chrysophytes, we have to study about diatoms and desmids, and dinoflagellates, goniologs, which is responsible for the red tide in the sea, and diatoms are responsible for diatomaceous earth, desmids, which are also called as the golden algae. Then under euglenoids, there is euglena, slime molds, and then comes protozoans. Again, the protozoans are divided as amoeboid protozoan, flagellated protozoan, ciliated protozoans, and sporozoans. So amoeboid protozoans, there is amoeba and entamoeba. Entamoeba histolytica, it is a pathogen especially to humans which can cause stomach related disorders. Flagellated protozoan is trypanosoma, which can cause sleeping sickness disease. This is also one of the most common MCQs that can be asked. Sleeping sickness disease is caused by, it is trypanosoma, which is a flagellated protozoan. Next, ciliated, it is paramecium. Again, paramecium has something, a small cavity or an opening in its body, which is called as gullet. And that also, based on that also, MCQ can be framed. What is the function of the gullet? So whenever the organ, that is paramecium, is moving in the water, whatever food particles is there in the water, it will just use its cilia and push the food particles into the gullet. So gullet is nothing but the opening through which the food particles can enter into the paramecium. So based on that also, MCQs will be framed. Next, sporozoan, plasmodium. These are the malarial parasites. So here again, this MCQ is also very important. Next, moving to kingdom fungi. They are eukaryotes. They can be unicellular or multicellular, and yeast is the only unicellular fungi that is there. So this is the one of the important MCQ, which is the only unicellular fungi. The question can be framed like that. So it is yeast, or it is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Next, under fungi, it is divided into Phycomycetes, Basidiomycetes, Ascomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. So under Phycomycetes, Mucor, Rhizopus, and Albugo are the examples. Phycomycetes are those fungi which are capable of infecting plants. Next, Basidiomycetes, Agaricus, that is the edible mushroom. Then Ustilago, which is the smut fungi, and Puccinia, which is also again a fungi. So these actually, they cause diseases on plants as well. And Basidiomycetes, they produce basidiocarps, and basidiospores are produced in those basidiocarps. Next, talking about Ascomycetes, it is penicillium, yeast, aspergillus, claviceps, and neurospora. Some of the fungi under Ascomycetes, that is claviceps, neurospora and all, are very, very important for biotechnology industries. Next is Deuteromycetes. Deuteromycetes are called imperfect fungi. They can ask MCQ, which is the imperfect fungi? Ascomycetes, Phycomycetes, Basidiomycetes, Deuteromycetes. So this is also one of the important MCQ. So it is Deuteromycetes. Under that, we have Alternaria, Coletotrichum, and Trichoderma. So this is about this. And Puccinia, it causes rust disease in plants. That also we need to remember. Next, moving further, so we know a synopsis of the chapter now, some of the examples and all that. So those same thing, I have not put them in the MCQ because there itself while telling about the synopsis, I have already told that what MCQs can be framed from that part. Now, We'll see what other MCQs can come up in the exam. So who was the earliest to attempt a more scientific basis for classification of organism? It is Linnaeus. So Linnaeus, which system of classification did he give? He gave artificial system of classification, or he gave the two kingdom system of classification, wherein he grouped the organisms as plants and animals, those which have a cell wall and those which do not have a cell wall. Next question. What classification system did Linnaeus develop in his time? Two kingdom system, four kingdom, three kingdom, five kingdom. It is two kingdom system because five kingdom system was, of course, four kingdom, three kingdom and all that is not there in your textbook. So you have to choose between 2 and 5. Five kingdom was given by R.H. Whittaker. So the remaining is, it's two kingdom system of classification is the right answer here. Who proposed the five kingdom classification? It is R.H. Whittaker. Which kingdom grouped together unicellular eukaryotic organisms? Is it kingdom fungi, kingdom Monera, kingdom Plantae, kingdom Protista? Now, what two words we have to keep in mind here is unicellular eukaryotic organism. Always please read the questions twice, thrice if you don't understand before you answer it. It's very important. So, what are we concerned here about? Unicellular eukaryotic. So, unicellular, here Monera and Protista both are unicellular. Now, we have to find out which is eukaryotic here, right? So, it is kingdom Protista because kingdom Monera is what? It is prokaryotic. So, therefore, the right answer here is eukaryotic unicellular is kingdom Protista. Next question. Which kingdom do bacteria belong to? Monera, Plantae, Fungi, Animalia. So, always when you study the table, no, study it in order. Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, Animalia. Monera, it's always the first one, bacteria. Then comes Protista, then the fungi, and then Plantae and Animalia. So, here the option is Monera. That is bacteria. All the bacteria, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria put under Monera. Where do halophiles live? Halophiles, they live in extreme salty areas. Gut of ruminant animals, it is methanogens. So, like this also question can be framed. Where do methanogens live? Here also it is methanogens only, that is in marshy areas. And hot springs, it is thermoacidophiles. Thermoacidophiles. So, right answer for this question is extreme salty areas, that is halophiles. Which type of bacteria lives in hot springs? It is thermoacidophiles. Which type of bacteria is responsible for living in marshy areas? It is methanogens. Next, which group of bacteria completely lacks a cell wall? So, there are some bacteria which have a cell wall, and that cell wall is made up of polysaccharides. It is non-cellulosic, meaning it's not made of cellulose, but it can be made up of polysaccharide and an amino acid. So, here this is a group of bacteria which completely doesn't have a cell wall. So, that is Mycoplasma. Next, which group of bacteria is often surrounded by a gelatinous sheath? So, Nostoc. So, Nostoc is the one that is usually surrounded by a gelatinous sheath. So, Nostoc is an example for cyanobacteria. So, here Nostoc is not given, but cyanobacteria is given. So, therefore, we can choose the option as cyanobacteria, because each single cell of cyanobacteria, they arrange in the form of chain, and around it they have a gelatinous, slimy, mucilaginous layer that surrounds it. So, therefore, cyanobacteria is the answer. Next question. What is the main characteristic of eubacteria? Photosynthetic autotrophy, presence of a rigid cell wall, absence of a cell wall, presence of a flagellum. So, here we can call it as photosynthetic autotrophy. That's true, right? Because especially under eubacteria, there is cyanobacteria which is capable of synthesizing its own food, because it contains chlorophyll pigment in it. So, therefore, photosynthetic autotrophy is one of the main characteristic of eubacteria, because in Archaebacteria, you do not find photosynthetic autotrophy. And absence of cell wall, yes, bacteria can not have a cell wall, it can lack a cell wall. Bacteria can have a flagellum, and they can have a rigid cell wall also, depending on the condition in which they are, or extreme condition in which they are surviving in. So therefore, we need to find out one of the main characteristic of eubacteria. So therefore, photosynthetic autotrophy is the right answer. All the answers are correct regarding bacteria, but here we have to find the main character of eubacteria. So that is why photosynthetic autotrophy is the answer that you need to choose. Next question. What is a common name for cyanobacteria? It is unicellular organism, colony forming bacteria, blue-green algae, nitrogen fixing bacteria. So nitrogen fixing bacteria, it is Anabaena can fix nitrogen, which is again a cyanobacteria. But here, what is the question? What is the common name for cyanobacteria? So cyanobacteria is also called as blue-green algae. What type of chlorophyll do cyanobacteria have? So they have chlorophyll A. The answer chlorophyll A is the right answer here. What is a specialized? So this is also one of the common MCQ that can be framed and asked. Next question. This question is also very important. It's very important. What is the specialized cell called in cyanobacteria that can fix atmospheric nitrogen? So if you remember the diagram of Nostock, in between those oval shaped or circular cell, you can see a cell that stands out because of its peculiar shape. It is bigger in size, and inside you can see some, it looks like this almost. So it looks like this. You can see this kind of a structure. This is nothing but the heterocyst. It's called heterocyst. And this heterocyst actually helps in fixing atmospheric nitrogen in leguminous plants. So therefore, it is heterocyst. It's called heterocyst. So that is why the cyanobacteria can be used in fields and all that. For crops which are not capable of fixing nitrogen, that is apart from the leguminous plants, those which are not capable of fixing nitrogen, they can use this as a fertilizer instead. So it is heterocyst. Next, the cell walls of diatoms are formed by chitin material, calcium carbonate deposition, silica embedding, cellulose synthesis. It is silica, and it is because of the presence of silica in diatoms and the silica deposits for millions of years, it will result in diatomaceous earth. It is silica embedding. Next question. Which dinoflagellate undergoes rapid multiplication leading to red tides? It is goniolox, because goniolox is the dinoflagellate that has a red pigment. When multiplied in large numbers, it can make the sea tides appear red in color. That's goniolox. This is also a very, very important question. So the wall plates in dinoflagellates are made of protein, cellulose, lipid, silica. It is cellulose. They are made up of cellulose. Silica is in diatoms, or it is in chrysophytes. Remember, chrysophytes. Example for chrysophyte is diatom, desmid. Cellulose is the content that is present in the plates or wall plates of dinoflagellates, or they can ask the wall plates in goniolox is made up of. So like that also question can be framed. It is cellulose. Next, what is a protein-rich layer called that replaces a cell wall in euglenoids? So we all know that euglenoids, they have a protein-rich layer. They do not have cellulose, they do not have silica and all that. Instead, they have a protein-rich layer. So the question can be asked like, the wall of euglena is made up of. So then also you have to choose that is protein. And if the question is like that, you have to write protein. But here they have already said that euglenoids have a protein-rich layer, but the question is, what is that protein-rich layer called? It is called pellicle. So this is also an important question. Next, which group of protozoans causes sleeping sickness? It is flagellated. So here, can you just see it's confusing because they have not mentioned it as trypanosoma. Instead, what they have asked, because flagellated is the right answer, because trypanosoma is a flagellated protozoan. So that is why. So that is why we have to understand the concept, then only the MCQs can be answered. Next question. Which protozoan causes malaria? It is Plasmodium. Entamoeba causes stomach related issues. Trypanosoma causes sleeping sickness. Plasmodium is the one that causes malaria. Next question. Which protozoan group has an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle? All these are very important MCQs. It is sporozoans. Sporozoans, or instead they can give the example as Plasmodium. That also can be asked. Sporozoans is the right answer here. Next, ascomycetes are commonly known as club fungi, sac fungi, button fungi, jelly fungi. It is commonly known as sac fungi because they produce sac-like structures, and these sac-like structures are called as ascocarp. And in this ascocarp, again small structures are called ascars are produced, and in this ascars lot of acai or spores are produced. So, ascomycetes are commonly called as sac fungi because their fruiting body looks like a sac, a gunny bag. So, that is why. Next, imperfect fungi belong to the class. This is a very important question. Deuteromycetes. Or they can ask, Alternaria belongs to the class. Coletotrichum belongs to the class because all those Trichoderma belongs to the class. All those are imperfect fungi itself. So, therefore, they belong to Deuteromycetes. Next, what is the meaning of the word virus? In this chapter, apart from having all these kingdoms, there are some organisms which are not placed under the 5 kingdom system of classification, and it has been given separately. Like we have viruses, viroids, prions and lichens. These are the questions which are based on those topics. Okay. So what is the meaning of the word virus? Poisonous fluid, large microbe, infectious plant, healthy fluid. It is poisonous fluid. That is what they said, no? Contagium vivium fluidum. So that is what they said, meaning poisonous fluid. Next question, who recognized certain microbes as causal organisms of the mosaic disease of tobacco? So mosaic disease of tobacco is caused by tobacco mosaic virus. So the credit goes to Dmitry Ivanovsky. So Dmitry Ivanovsky is the scientist who recognized that certain microbes are there which causes tobacco mosaic disease, and he called them viruses. Next question, and about bacteriophages. Bacteriophages are those viruses which infect bacteria. Okay, so don't get confused. Next question, who demonstrated that the extract of the infected plants of tobacco could cause infection in healthy plants? So the answer is M.W. Beijerinck. So he was the first person. So what M.W. Beijerinck did was, he took an infected tobacco plant, he took the extract of it, and that extract he sprayed it on the healthy tobacco plant, and after a few days he found that the healthy tobacco plant also got that infection. So therefore he was the first person to say that the extract of an infected viral attack tobacco plant can cause infection on healthy plant also. So that credit goes to M.W. Beijerinck. Next question, who showed that viruses could be crystallized, and crystals consist largely of proteins? So virus, they are considered to be dead when outside of a host, but dead in the sense they are not in their natural form, but they can be in the form of crystals, wherein those crystals are nothing but made of protein, and that was found by W.M. Stanley. So W.M. Stanley, he found the crystallized nature of virus, and Beijerinck, he actually found out that the extracts of virus infected plant is capable of causing disease in a healthy plant. And Dmitry Ivanovsky, he was the first person to find out tobacco mosaic virus. So it's quite confusing. So that is, you have to take care. So all these 3 MCQs are also very important. Next question. So which viruses infect plants? Is it double-stranded DNA viruses, single-stranded RNA viruses, double or single-stranded RNA or DNA viruses, bacteriophages? So it is single-stranded RNA viruses. Double-stranded DNA viruses usually infect animals, meaning those viruses which have the genetic material, that is a double-stranded DNA, can cause infection to animals. Those viruses which have the genetic material in the form of a single-stranded RNA, those viruses are capable of causing diseases to plants. So here the right answer here for this question is option B. Next question, which disease is caused by the viroid in potatoes? It is potato spindle tuber disease. So viroid, that is T.O. Diner. So who found out viroid? It was T.O. Diner. So T.O. Diner, he was the first person to find out this potato spindle tuber disease, which is caused by viroid. So there is a difference between virus and viroid. Which disease found in cattle is caused by prions? Is it bacterial infection, viral infection, bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease? It is mad cow disease. It's not bovine spongiform encephalopathy, because this is the disease that can be seen in human beings, not in animals. So in animals it is mad cow disease. So we have to choose here mad cow disease because it is asked in cattle. So bovine spongiform encephalopathy is called as mad cow disease in cattle, okay? And bovine spongiform encephalopathy in humans, it is called as C.R. Jacob disease. So that is why we can't choose bovine spongiform encephalopathy as the answer here. We have to choose mad cow disease, which is another name for bovine spongiform encephalopathy that occurs in cattle. Okay, so you have to be very careful. It's a tricky MCQ. So it is mad cow disease. Next question, what is the most notable disease caused by prions in humans? It is C.R. Jacob disease. So, because bovine spongiform encephalopathy is called as C.R. Jacob disease in humans. Next question, what is the algal component of lichens called? Algal component of lichen is called as phycobiont. The fungal component of lichen is called as mycobiont because myco means stud, mycology. It is related to fungi. Next question. What is the fungal component of lichens called? It is called as mycobiont. So, these two MCQs are also very important under this chapter. So, this was about this session wherein you learnt about different topics that are present under this particular chapter, that is biological classification, and also we learned some of the important MCQs that can be asked in exam point of view from this particular chapter. So, this was session 1. In session 2, we'll move on to learning the long answer, that is 2 mark and 3 mark questions that can be framed under this particular chapter. So, see you in the next session with the continuation of the same chapter wherein we'll learn the question and answers. See you in the next session. Thank you.